All right, everybody, Reggie, the Front Row Report. I've got Jared from Surrender the Fall. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. We're in New York today, getting set up for a show, getting ready to play. We're on tour with Nonpoint right now, and we're actually playing with some other friends of ours, a band called Otherwise, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yes.
They're on the show tonight. And also, there's another band called Another Lost Year that we're really good friends with that we're playing with. And there's another band called Allele.
Okay.
That we're playing with tonight. So tonight should be a really good night.
Nice.
We should have a lot of fun.
I saw Otherwise, it was back in January, at a place called Pierre's up in Fort Wayne, Indiana, with Stone Sour, which was a killer show. Those are some of the nicest guys in the world. Otherwise are, man. And Nonpoint puts on a killer show as well. And so that's got to be a good show tonight. I'm a little jealous that I'm not there. So, but yeah, man, it's you guys mentioned you're on the road right now. Touring gets crazy. You guys have been doing some non-stop touring lately, and it doesn't look like there's any end in sight for it right now. What has been the touring experience like for you guys lately?
The experience?
Yeah.
It's great. You know, we get to go to a different city every night and play to new faces. And sometimes we see familiar faces. We've been cycling through a couple of our favorite places. So, I mean, it's been really good. Experience-wise, nothing too crazy has happened so far on this run, but we're only like 2 weeks in, so
anything can happen.
Anything could happen, yeah. Anything could happen.
Man, you guys are touring on Burn in the Spotlight, which is a killer album. I've listened to it probably about 80 times so far since I got it, and it is just outstanding. You guys did a great job on that record. So
thanks so much, man. I appreciate that.
Definitely, man. Can you tell me about putting this record together? It's a very powerful, and even the softer songs are powerful as well. It's a very powerful and intimate record at the same time, I think. And you can really tell that you guys took your time and poured your heart and souls into this record.
Yeah, man. They say that you have your whole life to write your first record, and like 3 months to write your next one. So, but yeah, I mean, but the first part of that holds true for us. And you know, we put a lifetime of win, lose, love, hate, fuck, fight, and feel, man, into this record. You know, it's something that we really we did take our time with it, and you know, we were a little pigeonholed in the beginning. You know, we were kind of like the new metal. We kind of stuck ourselves in a genre, and we would play these songs and always talk about how, you know, man, we really like those songs, but it'll never be, you know, something that this band will do, whether it be softer or just a different style or whatever. And finally, we just sat down one day. I remember I was sitting down with my guitar player, Eddie, and I'm like, we're both like, you know, let's just write good songs. No matter what it is, no matter what it sounds like, you know, let's just write real, 100% honest songs. If it sounds country, if it sounds rock, metal, whatever, you know, as long as it translates to people. And I think that's why, ultimately, why people get it, you know, why they get SDF, because like our first tour was with a metal tour, and we were kind of worried about how everything was going to go. We figured they were going to throw bricks at us, you know, because we're not classified as a metal band, you know, and lots of metal influence, but just the classification's not there, and it wasn't like that at all. I think people get it because it's honest. Somebody told me that the best songs you'll ever write are the ones that you don't want anybody else to read. And I think that's, in my opinion, I think that's why people get Surrender the Fall, and why there's a gravitational pull towards us at all, because it is honest. It's not over fabricated. You know, we bleed on these songs and on this record. So.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, and touching on that, it's going to the show you guys are playing tonight with all of the bands on that bill tonight out there. All of their records and all of their songs are very personal songs. And to have a show where every artist and every band on the bill has heartfelt, heart-driven songs and tracks is it's just an experience that's completely different than any other concert experience. I think you walk away with that with a whole new outlook and just a whole new, perspective on what you saw. So I really think the fans really feed off of, a genuine song and genuine lyrics. I think that's what really decides what makes a good band. Because anybody can write a song that's about partying and drinking and all that stuff, but it takes balls and it takes a lot to really write a song that's from the heart and honest.
Absolutely, and those are the ones that you really, like I said, you don't want anybody else to read because they're the most personal ones. Mm-hmm. We've got the party, sex, drugs, and rock and roll style songs and stuff like that too. This is fun for us. This is what we love to do. So we love writing songs. Some of them are funny. Some of them, it's funny. Some people are starting to catch on to the lyrics in the songs, and it's like, do you say this in the song? And I'm like, yeah, and they're like, that's pretty funny, But it's just kind of like a smart ass comment in the middle of it, just to kind of, tell the story. But yeah, man, I think it's great when real bands get together and put shows together. And by real bands, I mean the bands that really spend the time honing their craft and writing the songs, the bands that actually write, and don't hide behind tracks live and, really play these songs live and really connect with the audience. And all these bands tonight are a perfect example of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it hard to believe that the album came out like a year ago already?
Yeah, well, it kind of, in a way, yeah, but we've been living with this record for longer than that. Like, this record was finished, like, for 2.5 years before it got released.
Oh, wow.
That just kind of goes to show you the process that it takes, to release your record. There's a whole formula that you have to go and, do all this stuff to promote your record before it releases. But yeah, it's kind of hard to believe that we've been, that people have actually been able to have this record for almost a year. It'll be a year in September.
Yeah.
September 18th.
Yeah, it's crazy, and like you said, and I didn't know that the record had been finished for almost 2 years before it was released. You guys have really had quite the journey to getting to where you are now, and it's really just beginning in a lot of ways. But, I mean, can you tell me a little bit about the journey and the road to getting to this point? Because really, right now, you guys are touring with some great bands and getting on some great bills, having a lot of success right now. But it hasn't always been easy, I would imagine.
No, I don't remember a time when it was ever easy, to be honest with you. When I was growing up, I loved music. I grew up in a musically inclined family. And so music's always been a part of my life. I started playing when I was about 13, 14. Played in a couple of bands, did a little bit, and that's my story is simple. I had nothing better to do. I wasn't really good at anything else. So for me, it was a no-brainer. Music was kind of the only thing on the chopping block for me. Eddie, my guitar player, came from New Orleans after Katrina. Katrina wiped out everything, and some guys that were in the band at the time that were also from New Orleans used to play with him, and they went back to pick up some gear and let him hear the demo. And the demo was actually what swayed him to come here. At first he was saying, I can't do it. I'm going to, rebuild my life here. I lost my home, and, my family's here and all this kind of stuff. So, I can't just up and move to Memphis, where the band was, where we're from. Mm-hmm. And he heard the demo, and they asked what he thought, and he said, I'll be there in a week. So he's been here ever since. Anthony, my other guitar player, had a really bad football accident, blew his knee out, and football was over for him. And he played a little bit of guitar, so he started sticking to that. And we were drunk at a bar one night. And he's like, man, if you ever need a guitar player, start a side project or whatever, let me know. And I had a guy quit on me on a Saturday morning when we were supposed to leave a week from that day and go play like 3 or 4 shows in New Orleans. And he calls me up and he's like, man, I can't play in the band anymore. I'm sorry. I gotta bow out, immediately. And And I hung up the phone with him, and the first thing I thought about was Anthony. And I remembered he worked at Guitar Center at the time. So I'm like, I'm just going to take a shot, and I'm going to call and see if he's there. And sure enough, he's the guy that answers the phone. So I'm like, all right, I feel better. I know how this is going to go down. And yeah, he came in and learned the set in like 3 or 4 days and played the shows, and he's stuck with us ever since. So it's been a rough road, man. It's been a really rough road. Everybody's kind of got their own Cinderella story when it comes to how they transpired into this band, but we're just trying to make the best of it. We're trying to play every show we possibly can, you know, every show we can get our hands on, and just push this thing as far as it'll go. I'm ready to ride this thing until the wheels fall off.
Wow. Yeah, and that is crazy to hear. And I mean, when you come this far, I mean, it's so hard to just, you know, even when it gets hard, when you've come this far, to just pack it in and go home. You know, it's come this far. You gotta see where it's gonna go from here on out with everything that's happening so far. It's really cool to see things come together the way they have been and continuing to come together. With, you know, a top 40 rock song, touring with outstanding bands, and really growing in popularity and success in a lot of ways. What does it mean to you to see how the band has come along, where the band has gotten in this amount of time?
What does it mean to me?
Yeah, since as one of the, you know, there from the beginning, and to write it for this long, what does it really mean to you?
You know what, man? It means surrender the fall. You know, surrender the fall. The name of this band means giving up the option to fail. You know, for my whole life, I gave up on everything. I quit jobs to go play shows. I gave up relationships and broke up with girls, you know, when I was younger, so that I could, you know, tour and not have the headache of, you know, somebody blowing up my phone every day, you know, like all these things. Like I neglected a lot of responsibility growing up because what I wanted to do was play music, and that was at a time where the industry was changing, and, you know, of course you got everybody, you know, Van Gogh in your ear off saying you need to have a backup plan and you need to go to school and all this kind of stuff, and I never did, you know, and I was never a big band jumper or anything like that. So riding this thing this far, it really just means if you stick with something, you know, the only way that you don't succeed is by giving up. Because if you give up, then you can't succeed, and that's the only way you can't succeed. You know, it's the only way that you fail, by giving up. If you still go, if you still push it, then you're succeeding. You know, you haven't been knocked off your block yet. And I think that's the nicest part for us is being able to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Being able to just be a staple in the band and do everything we can to hold it together because we believe in it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Wow. So if you had to pick one song, or even more than one song, off of Burning the Spotlight that really sums up, you know, in the best way, what you are all about, and, you know, maybe your favorite song off the record, which one would it be?
There's a couple. Some Kind of Perfect rings really hard with us, man. It's just about updating your ending sometimes. I heard somebody say one time sometimes you have to update your fairy tale. It doesn't always end up the way that you think it's going to go. And, you know, we've had to do that so many times with different members, and things happen in our personal lives and stuff like that that we thought it was going to go one way, and it ended up being another way. You know, we kind of had to do a little update on the hard drive and then push forward and keep going. Mm-hmm. So that's one. Everything You Want Me to Be is pretty big to me. It's just about being somewhere and hearing all the rumors and hearing all the mudslinging and the trash talk about you, and you finally get to a point where you're like, if you guys want to keep talking, that's fine. I'll be whatever you want me to be. You know, in spite of everything. And Pitiful, like, dude, I could go down the line and tell you why this record defines Surrender the Fall as a band, because it's all of our lives and it's everything that I've gone through, you know, up until that point. You know, so it's really hard to choose just one or two, man. I can give you instances on each one of them, how it goes.
I think one of my favorite ones is Undesigned, and I can't put my finger on why, but that is definitely one of my favorites on the record.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's, you know what? That's one of the hidden, what do you want to call it? The hidden, it's not a hidden track, but it's,
like one of the hidden
yeah, it's one of the ones that doesn't get a lot of notice. And I think that song's a great song. I mean, I think all of our songs are great. I'm biased, of course, but I think that song's a great song, man. It's just, again, it's real. You know what I'm saying? It's being able to express yourself 100% honest and not hold anything back.
Awesome. Yeah, man, it all in all, I don't think there's one song on the record that is a bad song. It's rare these days to find a rock record where all of the tracks are strong tracks. A lot of bands, it seems like, are writing albums for, you know, 2 or 3 specific songs. The rest are just fillers. And I think that there's a movement coming right now. There's a lot of bands coming up right now where the whole record is a good record because they put everything they had into it because they had to. I think I really get that vibe from Burning the Spotlight and Surrender the Fall.
Thank you.
I really get that, you know, because a lot of bands, you know, they have to put everything into that first record because that first record is everything right then.
The day of tempting your CD out is gone, you know what I'm saying? Like, people download singles now, you know, and you can get it online and you can get it for free and all this kind of stuff. Like, you can pirate it, whatever, you know, and I have my whole view about that. But as far as each song on a record, man, if you want somebody to buy your record and not just buy a song, then you have to write good songs. You have to push as much as you can to write the best songs possible so that people buy it as a whole. You know, we don't want to sit here and write, you know, specifically for radio or anything like that. We just want to write good songs that accomplish what we're trying to do, which is translate these songs to other people, and maybe other people can grab a hold of them.
Absolutely. And I think that just the way the industry has changed, like you said, you know, getting a whole CD out it obviously still happens, but people are buying singles and downloading. I think that's also affecting the way touring goes because more bands are putting more into touring instead of full albums. And it's, you know, if you want to get the great experience, it's see them live, and then that's where you can plug, you know, the record and all of that stuff. And it's everything is shifted now, and I don't see a time where it will ever go back to the way it was, which is sad.
But you know what? That's not such a bad thing, though. Like, here's my opinion on that. Music is art. I think art should be free. I think you should give your art to people to experience, to find out who you are, to find out what you're about, and let them save that money that they have, that they've spent on your record. Let them save that money and come to a show and see it live for the first thing and meet us and allow us to say thank you. If you want to buy the physical record, to have, you know, because some people are purists, you know, and they like getting the physical record with the liner notes and all this kind of stuff. I'm the same way, you know, and I think that, you know, if you're going to, for me, if I'm going to buy something from a band, I want to see them do it live. If they do it live as well as I was impressed with the record, then I'll purchase their product because it's the total package, you know. And I think that's what it needs to be. I think art should be free. Save your money, go to a show and meet these people, because that's ultimately what we got into the whole business in the first place. This is why, you know, if we just wanted to sit around and sit in a studio for the next 10 years and write songs, be them good or bad or whatever, you know, I mean, that'd be one thing, but there's no point in being a band if you're going to do that, because you can play guitar 9 times out of 10, you can play bass, and then you can find your friend down the street that plays drums. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can do all this yourself, you know, but being a band is getting out and pushing and spending face time with the people that come to see you, that enjoy what you do, and that's what we love to do. So I don't think it's so bad.
Exactly. I mean, when people hear, you know, every fan is going to have their favorite bands and their favorite artists. They all want to hear the music, but the next thing after that, after seeing them live, is I would love to meet these guys one day. And I think that even if it's just seeing the band live and getting a chance to even be in the same room as that person that makes anybody, any diehard fan, that makes their world and makes their day right there. And then to get to meet them, that's what it's all about right there.
Absolutely. That is exactly what it's all about. We sit around, and I'm not going to lie, dude, we talk shit about bands that play shows and then go hide off in their trailer or in their tour bus or whatever, and don't hang out with their fans and don't talk and meet them and hear the stories that they come up and tell you all the time. They're like, man, I didn't know exactly how I felt about a situation until I heard your song, and it saved my life. Mm-hmm. I can't stand it when people don't spend that face time, because ultimately, if it wasn't for the people coming to these venues, we wouldn't be a band.
Right. I mean, the fans put everybody, whether you're a small band or, the Rolling Stones, if you didn't have fans, there's no way you would be anywhere near where you are right now or have a chance to go further. And I think a lot of bands have lost sight on that these days.
I totally agree. But at the same time, there are a lot of bands coming out that really do take time up with their fans and have become friends and developed relationships with people. And they have people like even us. We have people that'll drive 6-8 hours to come and see a show because it's the closest one that that we're coming to. And it's amazing, man. It's amazing just the connection that you can build with people and what it can do for your own life. You know what I'm saying? Like when you really connect with people that get what you're doing. To me, that's the best motivation to keep going in an industry that's, you got a better chance of winning the lottery 100 times and making it in the music industry,
Yeah, but I think everything that we just talked about, I think that's one thing that sets, rock and metal and our genre and our part of music apart from, a lot of other music worlds, is these artists really take the time to meet the fans and get to know them and do more for their fans than a lot of other artists do. Not to group them all into one category, but I've noticed a huge trend, in seeing different genres. And I really think that rock artists, they do a lot more, I think, for fans than a lot of others do. And it's really, I think fans pick up on that. It's just so much more
Absolutely.
And it's great to see.
Yeah, I agree.
So, but man, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me, especially with how crazy your schedule is lately and everything you guys have been doing.
Man, my pleasure. Thank you.